As you can probably imagine, I'm a fan of old school video games, the ones that come from the late 90s and early 2000s specifically. That's the era I grew up in. And one thing I definitely miss are cheat codes. They were revolutionary in the fact that they let you either cheat in games or they let you basically do whatever you want, have big heads. I just think that that was very entertaining. But the one thing that I've noticed is that a lot of companies nowadays, for a multitude of reasons, don't typically include them in their projects anymore, and I saw an ad on YouTube for a company that aims to change that, so I'm gonna grab my keyboard and let's watch this together.
So you might remember how much fun using cheat codes in games was back in the day. Then something happened. Game developers decided to stop putting cheats in their games.
I don't really think it's fair to sort of hint that they stopped including cheats to screw over the consumer. I know you didn't directly say that, but that's sort of what you're getting at. It's more so, from what I've learned, that cheats back in the early days were more so for debugging, and nowadays companies learned that QA teams are better for that, and as opposed to developing cheats, they should spend their time developing DLC, so that way they can actually sell more of their product as opposed to just selling cheat codes.
Nowadays, you have to search sketchy websites and even risk downloading viruses to get cheats.
What the hell are you talking about? You can find cheats fairly easily on YouTube, and trainers are pretty much on a lot of safe websites, including YouTube. You don't have to meet like a sketchy dealer behind an old barn to get a Grand Theft Auto 5 table. You can pretty much find them fairly easily on YouTube, which is a safe site, and you can use the thumbs up and thumbs down ratio to sort of see and gauge how the community thinks about it. You don't really have to commit deals and heists in order to get your hands on cheat tables, guys.
Our desktop app quickly detects the games installed on your PC and automatically displays the cheats and mods that work with them. Not impressed yet? With our remote app, you can enable mods and cheats right from your smartphone or tablet. You'll never need to worry about remembering hotkeys again.
This I definitely could see the value in, although personally I find it a lot easier to just like cheat on, cheat off. But if you want to adjust values, like if you have like a moon jump or whatever, and you want to actually like type in how much of the moon jump you want or something, I could sort of see the value in using your phone for that. So you know what? Yeah, WeMod, you sold me. Let's go upstairs and let's try out your cheat engine, and I'm gonna let the people at home, I'm gonna let them see what I think.
So here is WeMod on my desktop. This is the homepage. This is exactly what it looks like. This is what they call the dashboard. I really like the aesthetic. It looks sort of like Discord mixed with PSN in a way, although I'm kind of caught off guard by the amount of microtransactions on the side. One thing that's kind of disappointing is that the remote app I talked about earlier, where you can use your smartphone, is actually locked behind a paywall. It's actually a pro-only feature, which requires like a minimum of like $5 a month, and it's just like, why? Anyways, let's go back to the main menu, and let's just take a quick tour. I'll show you the settings real quick. Now, the settings menu is where you can do such things as change your username for 5,000 coins, and as we'll see in a minute, the exchange rate for that is about $10, and also to customize how the application looks, you have to have a pro subscription. The good news is you can customize how it sounds, the little sound effects that pop up when you're using the trainers. But if you want to actually adjust how the application looks, it doesn't have like a free dark mode like most applications do. You actually do have to pay for the pro subscription. If subscriptions aren't your thing and you want to give them money elsewhere, this is how to get WePoints, they call them, which are basically the in-app currency microtransactions. You can use them to buy the small pink coins underneath to fuel suggestions and requests. As I showed off before, you can also use them to change your name, among other things, but I just personally find it kind of scummy. As opposed to running ads on their homepage, they decide to try to nickel and dime the consumer out of paying for cheats, essentially, which is a little bit shitty. I mean, come on, we give AAA developers crap for this. When indies developers start doing it for their applications, I don't think it should be excusable at all. Anyway, so here is the Games tab. I'm going to go ahead and give a search for one of my favorite games at the minute, which is Burnout Paradise, and as you can see, it's not really available for cheats, despite the fact that they definitely exist online. You can easily find trainers and cinematic tools for this application. As a matter of fact, you may notice that it only says I have a couple games installed up top. I'm going to go ahead and bring out my Steam window here. Now, mind you, not all of these are installed, but it just goes to show that there aren't a lot of games supported that I own, which is just strange to me because most of these have cheat engine entries or they have trainers of their own that are safe online. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what happens if you want to request a game that doesn't have a cheat trainer available. What you do is you go over to the vote button, then you remember, oh yeah, I have to pay for this, so you click on one of the options. Of course, you have to do all of this after spending some of your either in-game earned currency or your bought currency that you actually pay for on coins. So let's go back to Sonic Generations, and let's go ahead and vote for there to be a trainer. This is where we find out that either 2,000 other people or you have to donate 2,000 other coins in order for the trainer to be released for the Steam version of Sonic Generations, which is wonderful. Anyway, what about games that I actually own that are supported? Well, I decided to do a couple of tests. I chose 3 games at random, and we're going to test out Call of Duty Black Ops, Star Wars Battlefront 2, and Planet Coaster in that order. So let's start off with Black Ops. Upon first inspection, I tried to enable the cheats right here, which, as it turns out, that's a pro ability only, which is strange. You have to enable them by hotkeys, which I find it funny. That's what the ad specifically says you don't have to do. Anyways, let's boot up Black Ops. It's saying if I want to run it in safe mode, I'm just going to hit no for that. And, seems to boot up okay. And then, never mind. Well, perhaps that was just a fluke. Let's try it again. Again, I'm going to say no to safe mode just because I'm going to test it as if it was a fluke, which it may have been. So, let's boot it up a second time. And it appears to have crashed again, so I'm going to try it one more time. I'm going to hit yes to safe mode this time. Well, there's definitely something not right going on here, so I'm going to go ahead and close off WeMod and try to launch Black Ops through Steam. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward throughout the intro of this just because we've seen it twice before, and I'm going to go ahead and change my graphics to something that's going to be a little bit more appealing for you guys than a stretched out letterboxed screen. The game seems to work okay, but just to be sure, I'm going to play a quick round of zombies. I'm not sure if OBS is picking up the frame rate. It's running at 60. I'm not having any performance drops whatsoever. This is just vanilla Black Ops through Steam. No crashing. Everything is running pretty much at full speed. Again, OBS might be sort of butchering it, but everything seems to be okay. So I'm not exactly sure what the problem was with WeMod. There were no updates to Black Ops recently. This is an 8-year-old game, close to 9. So I don't think that this is something that should have had much problems, but it apparently did. So next up is Battlefront 2017, and ignore the fact that I have Origin open. I am launching this through WeMod. I just wanted to make sure that I had it installed, and it was taking a pretty long time to open, so ignore the fact that Origin is open. The game is launching through WeMod. With that being said, let's try out a couple of the mods. Specifically, I wanted to try out the Unlimited Health, No Weapon Overheat, and Freeze Mission Timer mods, because those are 3 very important things for Star Wars Battlefront. So because we're testing a freeze timer hack specifically, I went into Custom Arcade just so that way I can tweak everything and make it exactly what it needed to be to test out the timer as well as the other 2 mods. So let's go ahead and go straight into the game and see how they work. I'm not sure if you guys could hear that little chime. That just means that the mod has been turned on. So let's test it out. I'm testing out the Infinite Health mod, and unfortunately it does not seem to be working. So next is the No Overheat mod, which I went ahead and turned on, and this one actually seems to work pretty much perfectly. Yeah, it's cutting through troopers like nobody's business, and I'm not even close to overheating, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, I also had the Infinite Health mod on, which didn't seem to do anything. Finally, we have the Mission Timer Freeze, or I think pause, I don't exactly remember. It's basically supposed to freeze the mission timer in its tracks, and this one, whenever I enable or disable it, it just causes my player to spin around in circles. I have no idea why. I think it's just, it was bound to a key that was already bound to something, I'm guessing, I'm not sure. But this one does sort of work, kind of. As soon as you disable it, the timer randomly drops. And that's not good for certain missions where you need to skip ahead in the timer, because you're going to have to count in your head exactly how far you are, and I feel like that's more trouble than it's worth. Here I am with 4 seconds left on the clock, and I go ahead and stop it. It jumps to 9, and then the mission just ends. So it didn't really do what it was supposed to. So out of the 3 cheats that I tested for Star Wars Battlefront 2, one of them pretty much worked perfectly, one of them sort of worked, although it's a bit of a pain in the butt, and the last one didn't work at all. With that being said, one cheat did work undisputably, and the other cheat you could sort of argue worked, so I'm going to give this a pass. Finally, we're up to Planet Coaster, which is one of my favorite recent games to come out of this generation. I know exactly how this game feels, and these cheats seem pretty straightforward. One observation I did make, however, is how long Planet Coaster took to boot when I launched it through WeMod as opposed to just through Steam. I'm gonna go ahead and throw up a quick comparison video, and yes, this is fast-forwarded, obviously, but check out the time codes. Launching Planet Coaster through WeMod seemingly doubles its loading time. Anyways, let's test out this unlimited funds cheat. I'm going to go ahead and start a new challenge map. Yes, a challenge map as opposed to a sandbox or a story, and the reason for that is because this is probably the most ideal setup for someone that would want an unlimited funds cheat. Obviously, if they wanted to play easily with unlimited funds, they could just do it in sandbox. So I just started with a desert one just because it loads the fastest, because there's really nothing to load. And let's go ahead and put down a couple of trees first and spend some money, then we're going to enable the unlimited funds cheat, so you go ahead and hit the F key for that, and then let's place down a couple more, and oh no, unfortunately it doesn't seem to work, and I tried the guest happiness one off recording, and that one unfortunately also did not work. So in conclusion, what do we have here? We have a cheat engine that's trying to monetize cheat tables and trying to monetize trainers. And in my opinion, that's just not a really practical way of doing things. As opposed to offering the service for free and running advertisements on their website and homepage, they're essentially making you pay for cheats that don't exist for a lot of games, when you can go ahead and find free trainers on relatively safe websites, and many of them have decent reviews on YouTube. Take, for example, the Cinematic Tools plugin for Star Wars Battlefront 2, among other EA games. Cinematic Tools is a group of people who make very, very competent trainers for free that actually work. And you can find tons of Grand Theft Auto 5 trainers on YouTube that have positive ratings. I understand what they were trying to say with the whole stay off sketchy websites and don't download viruses for trainers thing, but if you have Cheat Engine running, you can just download a hex table that essentially gives you the cheats without actually having to download any exe files, meaning that it's pretty much safe.
So, all in all, do I consider WeMod to be gaming's biggest scam? No. It definitely does have its place for people who don't like looking up cheats or who aren't really clear on how to access mod tables. But at the same time, they're sort of monetizing something that's always been available for free. And if they made their software commercially available 100% for free and ran off of donations or advertisements, I could easily recommend this. But the fact that they pretty much lock a bunch of new exclusive features, including a friggin' theme customization option behind a paywall, I can't recommend WeMod. What I do recommend is that you go onto YouTube videos and search trainers you would like and read the comments and the ratings to see if they are legitimate. And that's the way that I've been doing it for a while, so that's why I recommend it. But for WeMod, maybe in a couple months, if they iron out their stuff, I'll give them another shot. But as for right now, I unfortunately can't say that I recommend it. This has been DanRock. Peace out, and take care.